Hello, everyone. My name is Brittany Hernandez, and I am a lawyer and the founder and CEO of Cormeum Kamai LLC. And I am also the global ambassador to law schools for Documate, which is a no-code platform that allows you to create powerful workflows and apps using this no-code platform. I'm also a hybrid no-code, low-code, and intersectional developer professionally. So it means that I create applications that are a hybrid of using these no-code tools, but also injecting some code in there to customize them as well. So in today's build, what we're going to do is we're going to try to reverse engineer Duolingo, which is a language learning platform that's really popular and has a really interesting and unique history that is linked to reCAPTCHA, the creator of the reCAPTCHA. But that is a story for another day. So let's get into the build. So as I said, what we're going to do is just try to reverse engineer how this was created, but using our no-code tool, Documate. So one thing to note about reverse engineering is that we're not trying to copy and, sort of steal Duolingo's code or anything like that. What we're just trying to do is learn how you might make something like a language learning tool from scratch quickly using something like no code and low code tools. In our case, it's going to be a little bit more of just an exercise out of curiosity, just to see like if I were going to make something like this, how might I make something like that? And could I make something like that? And what skills would I need to use or learn in order to do so? So the first thing I'll say is I'm just going to be using Documate for this one, and we'll see how far we can get and what we can do within this tool. So in order to create a new workflow from the start, we're just going to say new workflow, and then let's give it a name. In our case, let's say language learning tool. And actually, I'm just going to do a French edition because obviously Duolingo has multiple different languages that you can learn, all of these different ones and even more. You can even learn Klingon from Duolingo, which is pretty cool. But in our case, we're just going to use French. And if you were going to try to have a learning tool that had lots of different languages, then your build strategy would be a little bit different and how you would set up your pages would be different. But for the purposes of this video, let's just do French because that's what I'm learning on Duolingo at the moment. So as you can see, we're in the document editor now. So this is for builders. And so what I'm going to do is just show you how quickly we can set up a page just from here. So just by putting hello world and just by, this is in the header, and just by saying run, then I already have a website built or an app, you could say, but it's not doing very much. It's not very interesting, but you can take that link. And if we open up a new incognito window, for example, you can take that and it will show. So that's pretty cool because we can create very quickly using this no code tool, which has lots of different features. But for now, we're just going to kind of take it simple step by step. And if you wanted this, for example, to just be a static page that doesn't have any dynamic elements like a button or anything like that, then you can make this a kickout page. So if we say kickout page, and we can just put like some placeholder text here, and then we save that and run it. Now you can just see the dots that we've put here. So that's just to show you like how quickly we could make something from scratch. If we just wanted to have a simple page, you can also change the CSS and settings by just saying change style with custom CSS here, and then you can put a link here. And then once you've done that, you can make this a different color or whatever else. So for now, what we're going to do is see what we can do to create this tool, something like Duolingo or something like a language learning app from scratch. So it's going to be an experiment. I haven't tried it before or yet, so just bear with me if I make mistakes, and let's build this together. So I'm going to say, as the header, learn French with me. And then I usually like to have some kind of dummy sort of profile out to the side just so I can kind of see what it would look like for an end user. So let's get that run link. So as you can see right now, it says Learn French with me. And let's just have this kind of up and on the side so we can kind of take a look at that along the way. So the first thing that I'll note is that it looks like they have learn, practice, and leaderboard. So we're just going to focus on this learn piece. And then we can see they've broken it down into different units, basic phrases and how to greet people, introduce yourself, and different kind of stages along the way. In our case, let's just do, let's say, Unit 1 and Unit 2 as an available option. So if we go to our build here, and we want to add a question for this to kind of break things up into different options that people can choose to start learning for that day, let's say in Unit 1 or Unit 2, then what we can do is either there's a couple of different things you can do, but I think in our case we can do one of two things. One would be a single select block. So when you want to add a question, you just say add question and then choose which type of block you want to use. And it will just change what appears on the other side. So I think for us, if we tried to do a single select, which would mean they can choose between Unit 1 or Unit 2, then we can do that here. I will say something like, which units or units would you like to work on today? And let's give that a variable of, let's say, unit options. And whenever I'm building, I always have my master variable list up for that way I can be consistent across all of my builds for what variables I'm using. So that way, because you have to have the same variables to push information into a different workflow automatically. There are some workarounds, but that's the most easy, straightforward, and sort of efficient way to do it. But so what we're going to do is just whenever you make a variable, I would just highly recommend having a master variable list just in case anything happened to your build or the server, anything got messed up, you have it backed up somewhere else. And you also have that to refer to just as a good practice. So let's say we're going to do, okay, so the unit options would be, let's say 1 and 2. So in our case, we have Unit 1, and we can just put a title here as well, like they say, use basic phrases, greet people, that's it. And then the second is Unit 2, which has to do with how to introduce yourself. Okay, so let's see what that looks like when we run it. Let's do it from over here, actually. Okay, so which units would you like to work on today? And then the person can choose one or the other. But if you wanted someone to be able to do multiple lessons back to back, then we would probably not want to use a single select. So that is good for a lot of different circumstances. But let's use a multi-select as just a comparable here to see what that would look like instead. I'm going to say give it, so if you notice here, if you try to use the same variable name as something else, it's going to give you a prompt to enter a different one because every single one has to have the unique value. So in our case, for now, I'm just going to have an M just as multi-select to differentiate it, but let's use the same options. And then that way we can just see what this looks like. And you can notice here, you can have something be required or not. You can delete it or duplicate it. And if you wanted to, you could even add a default value or help text. So let's say help text like this. And then let's see what that looks like. And then also just note here quickly that you can also have logic. So I can say, show this question if unit options is one of these two. Also, specifically for multi-selects, you can have the default value have all selected. So that's pretty cool. And then let's just see what the differences look like over here. So this is what the help text looks like. And then this is what a single select looks like. And this is what multi-select looks like. So I like the multi-select one a little bit better for the purposes of this language learning tool that we're building. So let's get rid of this one by deleting it here. And now we just have this single one, and I'll take off the M and update my variable list. We can take this one off. So right now we have Learn French with Me. And you notice here we have Language Learning Tool French Edition is the same as what's here. So that's where that shows up. So we say, which units would you like to work on today? Unit options, we have Unit 1, we have Unit 2. So now what we'll need to do is create a page that is conditioned based on whatever the person selected so they can move on to doing that unit of their lesson. So let's add a new page, and then let's make this one Unit 1 just as a placeholder, and then let's add another page and make that one Unit 2, and let's do the logic for that really quick. So in order to create logic, if you notice, I don't have the option yet because I don't have any questions on this page yet. So if we go to Unit 1 and add a question, let's just have a placeholder for now. That's just an instruction block, and just give it a placeholder like this. Now we can see this edit page logic. So if we say edit page logic, then we're going to say show this page if unit options, which is the variable we had for this question here. We want to show this Unit 1 page if unit options is 1. And let's save that. So now what's going to happen is if someone chooses Unit 1, then they're going to see that page that we just made with the little period. And so we also want to do the same thing for this Unit 2 page and make that conditional. So let's go ahead and add a question, instruction, and a little period. Say edit page logic, show if unit options is Unit 2. So now what will happen is each of these pages will only show if one is selected. So let's try Unit 2. So now we don't see Unit 1 because it wasn't selected. If we select both, then we'll see Unit 1 and we'll see Unit 2. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward. Nothing crazy here, but we have our pages set up so that we can have them already having the logic attached. So next what we'll do is see what Duolingo does next. So how do they have the person guided through, the end user? How do they guide them through these lessons? So let's take just the first lesson for Unit 1. Use basic phrases. So let's do a practice. Bonjour means hello. How do you say woman? So this is a good example of even just the first question. So we can say, how do you say woman? And then we can give, so a good point here was to show you that you can actually just change the question type from here without having to kind of add a question here. So it looks like they have only a single option is going to be correct, right? So what we have is a single select. So let's find that. And you can also, if you want to, just, kind of go through and understand that it's going to change the question types and you have to add a variable here. So we're going to have, how do you say woman? And I'm going to say, for this question's variable name, let's say just woman. Maybe like woman question 1. And then we'll put our choices. So in this case, we have une femme and garçon. Une femme, and sorry if my French accent isn't very good yet. So in order to get these different fancy characters to show up, you just press and hold on your keyboard if you haven't used this before. So now we have the C-O-N. So we have une femme and garçon as the different options here. So when we kind of save this and look at this on the other side, and we'll remember here to add our variable here. Then when we come over here and we say Unit 1, we'll see this question now here. Unit 1, how do you say woman? Now, we want the person to only be able to progress if they've gotten this answer correct, and also to be kind of told if they got it wrong. So let's do that then. So if we say add question, then we can have an instruction block that says try again, and have that show if, let's say hide if if they have the correct answer. So woman question 1 is, and the question is femme, so it's going to be femme. And so that way it will show if they press but not if they press the right one. See? And then let's make it to where, so they can progress if they say femme. And if, let's say, like if they say femme, let's say they get a question, or they get something that says, that's right. And maybe let's put an emoji just for fun. So for my keyboard, a shortcut is Control Command Spacebar, and I have Mac. So let's do like celebrate, something like this. That looks pretty cool. That's right. So now when somebody says un, so we have a problem here. What is it? So when you say woman, so did I do this wrong? Okay, so I didn't add any logic yet. So I say show if woman question 1 is femme, and let's save that. So un will show try again, garçon will show try again, femme will show that's right. So now we already have sort of a basic one here. So we say, if I say, I can say check. Now what's interesting here, you'll note, is that it made a sound, un, femme, garçon. So if we wanted to add some elements of audio here, what we might do is look up, let's look up on YouTube or something, like French pronunciation of women. How do you say femme? So maybe let's just have it to where, so let's have it to where we share this and have it start there. And we can actually, let's embed it and copy that, starting at, let's have it start at 16. So what I'm going to do is just make it to where where this also shows up. Well, you can, yeah. So let's do that. Let's do that here and just show you what that would look like. We can make this like more gamified to where like they see the, there you go. So that's kind of cool. So when when the person gets it right, they're able to see how to pronounce it. You can say try again, try again. Let's just make it to where they have it when it's right. And let's see what we can do next. So femme, let's check. Nice job. Continue. T. So this one we have a situation where they've given the sound first and you have to choose from a list. So we'll do kind of a similar thing that we just did here. So let's do, but in kind of a different order. So what we're going to do now is have a question where let's find French pronunciation of two. Two. So let's do this one. Oops. The interesting thing is that for now is that we only want the audio. We don't want them to see that it's two. So it's tricky because from copyright perspective, you don't want to record someone else saying two. So let's say we want to get around that. So I'm going to do a voice memo actually and just record myself saying two and then put that inside somehow that I can. So let's try it. Two, two. So let's try it. Two. Let's get out of this one because I think I didn't say it that well, but let's try it one more time. Q. That's fine. So let's go ahead and let's see how we can export this. Let's edit it, maybe give it a new name. Let's see. I haven't used this one as much, so let's just pause here for a second while I figure out how to do this. Okay, so I have just done like show this in Finder. So I've made it to where I can say services show in Finder, and then I'm just going to rename it here to sound. And then look, it's an M4A. So let's drag that over here and see if we can do something with this file. So we have it to where when I play it, it says 2. So M4A is going to be our format. So I haven't ever tried to put just audio into Documate before. So this is a learning experience for me as well. So let's see what we can do. So if we wanted to have any type of file, let's look at what our options are, I would say would be a good starting place. So let's go to our dashboard and look at the types of files that we can do. So the types of files that we can upload in the back are CSV, images, document templates. The other option I'm thinking of is just how you can, let's look at Documate's Learning Center. So this is just how we can troubleshoot. Like how would I troubleshoot this particular issue? So let's just see if there's anything here. So let's see. I would think that it would be around something like embedding, maybe. Like if we could embed this file, incorporate videos and files. So add videos to your workflow if your URL is this, but if it's like an image file. So I'm wondering if we can try it as a file even though it's labeled as images. I'm not sure if it only accepts that type. Documents and document previews. So that's another option, is maybe we can try something like this. Watch a video tutorial here. So let's try this. Let's just see what happens when we say images. Because it's just, maybe it's just like a static file, or maybe that's not going to work, but we'll just see. Let's just try it and see what happens. So see if it rejects it or not. It was successful. So let's try that. Let's see what happens when we try to add this. Let's just try to add this anywhere just so that to see what happens when we say file. This is that configuration where you have a straight bracket, and then you say file in all caps, and then the name of the file goes here. So like I said, I don't know if this is going to work or not, but let's just see what happens when I try that. So I've put it under fem, I think. So it looks like that didn't work. So let's think about how we might get around this question. I'm going to do some figuring and I'll come back. So right now I'm exploring, I referenced an article here where it talks about the HTML audio element. So let's save this to kind of refer back to later. And it's kind of talking about using this audio control source. So we might try this, how it works. So we might try this. And if we look at the formats, it's saying like MP3. So but the one I have is an M4A for the file here. So I'm going to just look to see if there's a converter. So here I found an M4A to MP3 converter. So let's try converting that and seeing what happens when we try this. And I'm just going to take note of that one as well. Download this. So now we have an MP3 to play with. Okay, so let's see if we can try adding this code instead of this file type one. So we have audio controls, audio source type equals audio. So now we're going to try, I'm wondering if we can try to put that MP3 in from our same place that we did before here at the images. So let's take this one off and then try the new one that we just downloaded, MP3, and upload that one and see if it will pull from our account here. So if we take what we have here, which is this file like this, and if we replace it there and then type equals audio MPEG, then your browser doesn't support the audio element. Let's see what else. What else did that article say? Okay, let's try this and see if it works. We have something, but it's not working. So we got close. Something's happening. Let's see if I needed to have that for some reason. I don't think so, but. So we have the audio element showing, but we need to figure out why it's not playing. And I think it's probably not playing because it's not pulling from a source. Like it doesn't know where to find it, even though we've added it in the back. So let me do a little bit of figuring to find out the next part. One note I'll just make is I put this back in, but just to see if this might be the problem that I, for some reason, took it out. And maybe it was important and I just needed to do that, but I don't have this OGG file. So maybe that's something that I need to look into as well. So I've just found this. I just kind of Googled, what was my Google search here? Let me just grab this really quick. So I just Googled online voice recorder with embed because I think that this kind of isn't working. I tried uploading this to the doc templates as well to see if that would work, but that didn't work. So it looks like we can, it does recognize the audio controls, but it just doesn't know like where this is. So it's not really doing what we want it to do. So I thought, how can I do a workaround of that? What would I be able to do? I'm just going to delete really quickly this one here because it's not doing anything for us. So I was just thinking like, what could we do instead of trying to get this, forcing this file to go into the build when it's not working? So I just wanted to say like, well, maybe we can embed it if we could have some kind of online recording. So let's try to do it that way. So I said online voice recorder with embed and then just looked at the different options. And I found this one called Reverb Chat. So I just clicked on this one. And it likes it to where it's actually pretty cool. You just say record now. And then it takes you here. And let's do like create a new one. And then you can just say whatever you want. This is a test. And then you say save. And then if you want to give it a title, then you can, and then you just say embed, or you can get the link, or you can share it. And you can see this one I have here, and I'm just gonna click on the embed, and then I'm gonna come over here, and I'm gonna take this part off, and then we're just gonna test it here. It's not gonna live there forever, but just to see, like, did it work? Yeah, that's pretty cool. So that's great. So now we have that figured out. So I'm going to take off this part and make it to where, just to make sure they don't have, like, it doesn't say, let's say, like, what do you hear? Question 2. And then it also makes it to where you can have a link that you can give people, which is pretty cool. And then someone can respond. That's cool. And then, so that's a really cool little tool. And so let's go ahead and put this where we want it. So right now we've only done like question 1. So let's make it to where when they go continue, they'll go on to question 2. So let's add a page here. So this will be question 2. So this is unit 1, question 1. And we'll go on to question 2. And that will be, let's just make that an instruction block and see what it looks like when it says like, says, what do you hear? So now we have here question 2. And then we'll give them some options. So that looks pretty cool. So let's say add question, and let's give them a single select. What do you hear? And my French accent is not very good, but let's say question 2 audio is probably a good one for this. And then the choices are TE, TI, TU, TA. And then we can do something similar here where we've said we have something show, like an instruction that says try again if shown, or let's say hidden if the audio question is 2. So it will show on the other options, and then we'll say that's right. If, and an emoji, we can say celebrate. And we'll say show if the audio is 2. So we also only want this page to show this page because it's part of unit 1. So if unit options is unit 1, so we don't want it to show if someone chooses unit 2. So now this page looks like this. What do you hear? What do you hear? So we got try again, try again. That's right. Try again. Okay. So that's pretty cool. So we have unit 1, and then we could put like a header here to say question 1 if we wanted to, or we can just say question 1 in that header instead of unit 1. It's up to you how you want to do it. We can, if we wanted to do like, let's just like use a markdown here. So this is like an H1, so you can say like question 1. Let's see what that looks like. So we have it like this. So if you like it like that, that's fine. If you wanted it to be a little bit smaller, maybe something like that, it's up to you. I think for my case, I want this to just say question 1. That's probably fine. Or you can even do like unit 1, question 1, because I want each question to have its own page. So I'm going to say unit 1, question 2. And if you want there to be the side labels, like a progress bar, which is always a good idea, I think, it looks pretty good. Then maybe we can have this first one say welcome, and then the second one can say unit 1. And then when we get to unit 2, we can say unit 2. And if you want this other one, unit 1, question 2, to come under the same progress bar label, then you can put unit 1 the same as well. So let's look at what we have right now from what we've been doing. So now that we have this all set up, let's go back. Learn French with me. Which units would you like to work on today? Unit 1, and we haven't done unit 2 yet, but let's say unit 1, use basic phrases and greet people. How do you say woman? Femme, that's right. Femme. And if we say un, that's try again, and garçon, try again. So then you have unit 2, unit 1, question 2. What do you hear? So we've got 2, that's right. So this is how we're building this kind of out piece by piece. So now we've learned some cool things around some logic and embedding and kind of troubleshooting and trying to figure out we tried a couple of things that didn't work, and we learned a few things about how we can get an audio player to go in there. And then we found a new tech tool, Record Reverb Chat, that allows you to quickly embed and copy links. So let's just do maybe one more. Let's get out of here and let's do something for Unit 2 just to kind of get going here. So let's do Unit 2, introduce yourself, and see if there's anything else we can learn from doing this build. And like I said before too, part of the purpose of doing a reverse engineer build is to just practice and see like what you can learn from trying to create something that somebody else created in a different way. And we've already picked up some new skills. So let's go next to get rid of this and go on to Unit 2 and then say question 1. So in Unit 2, we're going to introduce ourselves. So let's see what this practice says. Como se va? We already did this one, so let's try another one. Unshy. So this is one where the person is going to speak to the computer and we're going to gain an input. So let me do some thinking around this. One way you might think about doing this is to have a file upload. So it's not going to be like it's not going to be like maybe as real time. But we could have the person either like give us their link to their reverb. So it wouldn't be like as like instant feedback as Duolingo, but so there's a couple things you could do here. One would be to add a question type that is like a text, where the person we can just instruct them to like, let's have an instruction. And then we tell them in the text to go to this website and record themselves and then give us their link. I think that's probably like the easiest way because it was so fast. Another way you could do that would be similar to like what we did the first time. So we could have a file upload perhaps. So let's see what that might look like. So we could say like record yourself saying the phrase, and then let's just see what that is. Let me just get a little bit more here. Un chat and un chien. So I'm not very good yet. You can see I'm just a beginner, but this is saying a cat and a dog. So let's just put, we could even just put chat at question 1. And then let's just see what that looks like on the other side. So let's put this here. And when we refresh that, and actually I think we need to select Unit 2. And actually, let's just only work on Unit 2 right now. How do you say woman? So actually, something happened here where Unit 2 showed, or Unit 1 showed. So let's just double check our logic and if we changed anything. So if we come here, we can see the labels now. And we can also see Unit 2 question 1, and I have a file upload here. So we can have it to where someone can browse, and in our case, let's say go to this MP3 file, and we can see it here. So we can have them continue, and then we'll be able to have that on our data manager on the other side when they continue and complete this. So it does say that this file type is not supported. So this is something we can learn here, which is please upload a PDF, image, text file, or Word document. So this isn't going to be the right way for us to do this. So I prefer in anyway the first method, which we talked about, which is that the person would input the sound file that they make using that tool that we just learned, this like reverb record. So we can give them this link and we can say, and maybe we can even input a picture here to tell the person, like give the person some instruction on what to do. So we can say, go to, we'll say this, let's say go to reverb record and do straight brackets on either side, and then parentheses. So this is going to hyperlink this text. Say go to this place and record yourself saying the phrase. Unsha, which is super like mixed together. So we can say unsha, unsha. Remember I was saying about your variable map. Now I can just come here and copy and paste that. I don't have to like come up with it again. And I say, so I'm telling them this is a text question type. So what they're going to do is I'm telling them, go to reverb record and record yourself saying the phrase this. Then, so I'm just going to take a screenshot here like this that we can upload for them and kind of mark up. So I'm going to go like this, and I'm going to use, this is just preview, to mark up, and I'm going to add like a little box for the person to be able to see like where to grab the link. So I'll say like grab the link here, and maybe I'll put a little arrow or something here and make it a little bit thicker line weight so it's easier for people to see. So I can just say like this maybe, and then I'll say done. Now that's going to get saved. So now we have go to reverb record and record yourself saying the phrase and shan shan. And then I say, then insert your recording link here. Then I can say here is where you can find the link to your recording. And then I'll show them, and then let's upload this file into our dashboard. So I'll say reverb record example. So let's save this, and then we'll go to our dashboard and do the same kind of process that we did before with images. So let's go to files, images, choose files, and then let's find this on our desktop here and open that, upload. And then it's upload successful. So we can grab this PNG and we can say straight brackets, file name, and then let's see how that looks. So now we have it to where it looks like this. We can center this if we want to. We can just say center and then on either side. And now that's centered. And if we wanted some space a little bit here as well, we can do a BR. Maybe let's do 2 just to give it a little bit more space. That just means break. So now we have a little bit of space. Let's put a little bit of space on either side and make it not quite so pronounced. So it's just a little bit of trial and error to see like how you want it to come out. So we can have it like this. Maybe one more here. Just however you want yours to look. I think that looks pretty good. So go to Reverb Record and record yourself saying the phrase "unshai unshin." Then insert your recording link here. Here's where you can find the link to your recording. And then so the person would do that here, and this we've made this required. So the person would do their link "unshai unshin." Then if they wanted to try again, "unshai unshin." And I'm not saying it's super great, but we can say this, and then we can say "unshai unshin." And then they can grab their link and they would go like this. So that's one way they can do it. They can review their answers here. So this is kind of towards the end of the workflow. So if we wanted to just do maybe one more question. Unshai unsha. Unshai unsha. Unshai unsha. Unya. So we've already done one like this. Unya. Tueonsha. So these are kind of just repeating some of the other stuff. I'll try to see if I can find one where we can do something different. Here we have a fill in the blank, but it would be similar. We would just change the question to say, fill in the blank and then have this. And then we would have it to where we would have a single select with the instructions that show up at the bottom, try again, or that's right. So here's a good one, I think, where it's a little bit challenging because in this one, it says, write this in French, a woman and a girl. So this is interesting because it has to do with order as well. So in this case, we have to say a woman and a girl. And so it matters like what they choose and what order it is. So even if we have a multi-select, for example, let's say add question multi-select, and we say write this in French. Oops. Let's see. Let's just say write this in French. And we give it a variable name. Femme et feel write this option 2, something like that, doesn't matter, just choose what you like. Then if we do it with multi-select and we have these different answer choices like in and garçon and mange Jean femme et and fille, then what's going to happen on the other side of this is that they can choose, let's say we made it to where if they choose certain things, it says try again or whatever else. The thing is that they're not ordering them. So in order to kind of do this, I'm going to have to think about it for a sec. We could just have it to where they have to input, type it in, but it is a little bit more fun and gamified and challenging as well if they have all of these different words that are kind of mixed and they have to kind of choose them in the right order. What I'm thinking is they can see the sentence get constructed if we have an instruction block kind of show underneath when they choose it. So for example, we could have it to where we have an instruction block that just repeats it. So it says like in, for example, and I have that show if this variable is the first une, and then I can have another one that shows if for each one. So let's just do this example so you can see what I'm talking about here. So garçon and I want to show this if that variable is garçon. So let's try this one. So essentially what we're trying to do is make it to where the person can see the sentence getting constructed from the answer choices. So in this case, I want to say maybe un garçon. So now you can see like a sentence is being formed in order. So it's not like maybe perfect, but at least it's kind of operating in a way like what we have here, which is a person clicks a button and it gets put into some type of order. So I'm going to pause for a second and get that done with the other one. The problem I'm running into though is that it won't show in the order that it's selected. It's showing in the order that it appears. So it'd be like, so even if I try to do like femme then un, for example, or chien and then un will still show on the top. So it's not a perfect solution. So I'm just going to think about it a little bit more. So my thought here is to have some invisible logic instead of having it done this way. So I'm going to delete these, and I didn't actually write what they needed to write in French. So let's put that here, a woman and a girl. So if we get into a little bit of invisible logic next, what I'm just thinking is that we would just have it to where let's just try it and see what happens. So we say new page, and I always like to indicate new invisible logic with an IL. Then I'm going to say like unit 2, question 2, and then let's do like few. So let's do our add a question, invisible logic. So in this case, we want the variable to be something like, let's just say, few correct answer. And then let's put that in here as well. And then for the invisible logic, I'm just thinking, let me think about it. So what I'm just doing here is playing with this idea that if I say, if femme et fille write this, question 2 is une. So the correct answer is une femme et une fille. So is une, and this is femme, and it is femme et plus, and it's also une fille. Then correct is, let's say, correct. Space, let's do correct space and then do something like that. Else if, then it's going to be is, try again. So then we're going to put, let me just try this over. So one thing I'll note as I was creating this, I noticed that I couldn't find the second une. And the reason for that is that it's the the computer sensed that there were 2 of these. So in order to kind of fix that, and just in this particular instance, I added a space so that there would be a differentiation between these two to the computer. And that way I could find it on the other side. So now we can see both of the options. So I'm just going through and saying, if this variable is in as well as or and then fem, and it is also et, and it's also un again, so the second one, and this is also feel, then I want this variable that I just created to be correct. And then else, it's going to be, in any other circumstance, it's going to be try again. So let's play with this and see if that works. But first, we need to tell the computer where to show this. So in our case, what we might do is make it to where when they say continue, let's see, then we need a new page. So let's say answer is, we're going to do, let's do an instruction block, and we'll say, we're going to call to it using this call sign $, 2 curly brackets, and then we're going to call to that variable. So the variable is it feel correct answer. So let's see what this does after we play with this one. So this is going to be required, so let's just give it an input. So if I say une femme est une fille, then I say correct, une femme est une fille. If we go back and we make it something else, it still says correct, so that's an issue because it's it has been selected, like the correct answer choices have been selected, but also an incorrect answer choice has been selected. So now we have to deal with how that might not work. So I think what I'll do is say that if it's any of the answer choices that are wrong, then that should return the wrong error. So I'm just saying if that variable of the one that we've been working with is this wrong answer choice, or if it is this wrong answer choice, or if it's this wrong answer choice, let's see if there's any other ones, or if it's this one, which I think is the last one. So we have this one's wrong, this one's wrong, this one's wrong, this one's right, 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 wrong, right. So we have all of them now. Then this is try again. So now let's see what happens when we run it. And it's okay to like not get it right the first time. So let's just see if it gives us the wrong answer choice. Let's see if it gives us the right one if we get it right. So une femme est une fille. So we need to fill that one in. Correct. Let's see what happens if we pick one of the wrong answer choices. It still says correct. So let me just think.
3 days later.
So I am coming at you 3 days or so later from this build because I just had to kind of pause and step away from it and think about what I was doing and what the purpose of this build is and all of the things. And I realized I fell into the trap of over engineering. So, what I mean by over engineering is that I am trying to make something that is actually quite simple super, super complicated. So we don't need to do all of this stuff. We don't have to have all of this invisible logic. We don't have to have all of this stuff. If we look at what we're trying to do, which is we're trying to make it to where someone can answer a question with a specific order of events. And so we can do that in a different way than what I've been trying to do here. So I'm actually going to go ahead and just delete all of this stuff that we were just talking about because it's just way more than what's actually necessary. I'm also going to clean up a few things that I did earlier that aren't working the way that I want them to, because I just needed to add a few more things. So let's go back to just kind of from the beginning, go through it and clean everything up and fix this last part that we were just talking about. Let's just have a quick reset. So if we go to let's go ahead and save this and refresh, and let's just kind of test it to where it's at right now and see what we can fix along the way. So right now, when someone runs the workflow that we're creating here, this tool, so let's just go ahead and just show you that you can just do that on any of the browsers. So this is kind of like my test person browser. So right now we have it to where on the first page, someone sees Learn French with me. We have Welcome Unit 1 and Unit 2, and that's responsive to like the different, if it's on mobile, it will look different than if it's on desktop. But let's just say it looks like this for now, just to have it on the side. So right now what we have is someone says, learn French with me, and it says, which units would you like to work on today? So this is what the back side looks like, and this is what the end user side looks like. And we can have it to where we have custom CSS and take off this top part, but I want that to be there because I want people to be able to sign in if they wanted to return and start different lessons or see their past answers or anything else. So right now we have it to where, let's say the person wants to do both Unit 1 and Unit 2, or they can just start doing Unit 1, or they can just do Unit 2 for that day, depending on what they'd like to do. So let's say they choose both so that we can go through where we are right now. And then they say continue. And then, so now they're on page 2. So if we come over to our build, this one is fine the way it is. And we can go to our second page. So this is Unit 1, Question 1. And the question is, how do you say woman? And on our master variable list, we have this as woman question 1. And so the person has the option to choose from a single select, une femme, and we have it to where when they choose the correct one, they get something that says that's right, and there's a YouTube video. But if you notice, actually there's something wrong, which is that right now the way that I did it was hide if woman question 1 is femme. But what that means is it's actually showing as a pre-answer at the bottom, try again. So I'm actually going to not do it this way. I'm actually going to just have 2 that say try again and have them show if woman question 1 is one of the wrong answers. So I'm going to add one more question that's an instruction block, and I'm going to have the same thing, try again. And then I'm going to just have that show if woman question 1 is garçon. So we have now try again, showing if woman question 1 is in, because that's incorrect. We also have a show if woman question 1 is garçon, because that means boy, and that is incorrect for woman. And then the third one is show if woman question 1 is femme, which is correct. And then I say that's right. And then it shows the...
How do you go about pronouncing this word? Femme.
Femme. So I just made it to where somebody can hear the pronunciation as well if they get the answer correct. So now when we refresh and go back, now we don't see that on the bottom anymore, which was kind of weird and didn't make sense. So now when somebody says in, they'll say try again. If someone says garçon, they'll say try again. But if they say femme, then they'll see that's right, and they'll see how to pronounce it. So I think that this question looks fine. How do you say woman? And then you get these different options. That seems fine to me. And they'll get that instant feedback about whether they are getting something right or wrong. So that seems fine to me. You can also do it to where you have it to where like they have to enter something exactly correct, but that's a different exercise than what we were trying to recreate from Duolingo here. So let's go ahead and go on to Unit 1, Question 2. So if we go to Unit 1, Question 2, and by the way, as we pointed out in earlier, you can have the labels on the top or side or whatever. And if you want them to be under the same one as far as a progress bar, you just use the same label at the top. But now we're in Unit 1, Question 2, and it's going under this progress bar here. And what I've done here is just to refresh your memory, we used something called Reverb. So Reverb is a great tool for anything where you want to record your voice and have someone be able to respond back to it. Because let's say you take this link and you send it to someone, they can listen and then they can respond. And then they can respond by going like this. So that's how they can do that. So in our case, what we decided to do with this one is we embedded me saying to into the top of this page by just what that process I just showed you. And I said to, and then I said, what do you hear? And then the person, and if you notice the same thing happened here, which happened in the first part where I didn't do it like properly, you could say, or I could have done it better, is I had it hide if this is to. And what that did is made it to where if there's nothing selected, it will show. So instead, I want to say show if this is te, an incorrect answer. And let's make it consistent with the style that we had on the first page, which was try again with a smiley face. So another one would be, so we'd say again, instruction, we would say try again and show that if to question 2 audio is one of the other incorrect answers. And then you can have it to where you have another one, instruction, try again, show if to question 2 audio is ta. So if we wanted these to be rearranged so that all the incorrect answers on our builder side for our own convenience and sort of visualization of this build, we can actually just drag this down like that from the toolbar that's here. You can collapse or expand it. And you can see now that that's right is at the bottom, which shows if this is 2. So if we save this now and look at what we have and refresh it, then we don't see that try again show up on the bottom anymore. And we can hear it say 2. And so in this question, we're saying, what do you hear when if they say te, then I say try again. If they say ti, I say try again. If they say ta, I say try again. But if they say tu, I say that's right. Now let's go on to the question that there's 2 parts here. The first is go to reverb record and record yourself saying the phrase un chat, un chien, which means a cat and a dog. Then insert your recording link here. Here's where you can find the link to your recording. So I have them go over here, make a recording, and on theirs they would be able to like have it look like this. So that's just because I had recorded one before. And then they put their link in here. And so I've given them some instructions of where to find the link that they can grab from there to put in here. And then on our side, as the person who has built this and manages the input of this and looks at what people said and their answers, we can then listen to that recording and give them some feedback. And I'm actually going to break this into 2 questions because this is question 1 and this is actually a separate question 2. So I'm going to say unit 2, question 2. So I'll build a new one, a new page. So I'm going to say add page here. And then I'm going to say unit 2, question 2. And this can go under the heading of unit 2 for the progress bar purposes. And the question is actually a multi-select. So this is going to be the interesting one actually, because I think what I'm going to do is something a little bit different from what we were trying to do before. And so I'm actually going to make this a text question. And I'm going to have 2 parts to this. I'm going to have an instruction block and I'm going to have a text input question. So for right this second, I'm just going to have some placeholders here so that I can finish kind of what I was doing with the other one. So I just put little periods to make it to where these stay for when I'm ready to work on them. And I'm going to make this one, what did I call it in the other one? Fem at feel write this question 2. So fem, and it's going to prompt me to come up with a more unique variable name. So I'm just going to put, and you can't use a dot, for example, just to show you that. I'm just going to say new for now. And then let's save that. And what I'm doing, it won't make sense like right this second, but it will when I put it all together. So you can switch pages like this, by the way. And notice that also show if unit options is unit 2, introduce yourself. So I'm going to also do the same thing here. I'm going to say show if or page logic. Unit options is unit 2, introduce yourself, so that this page only shows if the person said that they want to work on unit 2. So let's go back to cleaning up this page here. So the point of what I'm trying to do right now is to make this only one question on this page, because right now I actually have 2 questions. So I'm going to delete this bottom one. But first, I'm going to grab these because I don't want to have to rewrite them. So I'm going to, in my second question, I'm going to say, I'm just going to put what I just copied here for just a second. And then I'm going to save that. And then I'm going to also grab what else I was going to do is this part here. So instead of doing this big, crazy, complicated thing that I was trying to do before with like advanced logic, and I tried doing lots of other stuff too, I'm actually just going to do something that's going to be a little bit simpler. So right now, what we've changed this to is, so we're going to just say like, using like, from the words above. So I would say like, put the relevant words from the list above in the proper order to say a woman and a girl. So now what's going to happen is, and I'll show you something that will happen in a moment. So right now what's happening is, in unit 2, question 1, the person will go to reverb record and record themselves saying the phrase "and Shan and Shan," which means a cat and a dog. Then insert your, and then actually I'm just going to clean that up a little bit too. We're saying the phrase "Shan and Shan." Then insert your recording link here. Okay, so just to clean that question up just a tiny bit as well. So they would put in their recording link and then say continue. So now I want to just point out something here. So what we're having here is we can do it this way, or we can do it where the instruction is on the bottom. I think in our case, let's just play with it being on the top first. So the question says, put the relevant words from the list above in the proper order to say a woman and a girl. So let's see how these are like next to each other instead of under each other. So what we can do here is you can either do a BR, which you can either write it like this, which would be like a more proper way of writing it, or you can simply go like this. And then when you look at that now, this is under, now garçon is under une. And so you could do it that way, or you could have bullet points. So you can either do that like this or like this. So they both produce the same result. This tick mark like this, or this star asterisk like this. I think in our case, let's just use the asterisk and put those so that we can have some bullet points here. And then we have it to where this question now looks like this. So I have une garçon mange, chien, femme, une again here, et, and then feel, and then so we say put the relevant words from the list above in the proper order to say a woman and a girl. And so if right now, the way that it stands at this particular moment, it wouldn't actually like help the person learn because they're not going to be told whether they're correct or not. So the way that we're going to do this is through question logic again. And so we're going to say, so we have put the relevant words from the list above in the proper order to say a woman and a girl. So they would type in une femme. It's in feel like this. So we have to type it, but we need to tell them whether or not they're correct. And so we haven't done that yet. So in order to do that, we can make it to where we say, that's right, and then have our emoji that we used consistently. I think it's party or celebrate here. And then we need to have one that says try again. So that would be another instruction block that says try again with a smiley face, and then it would have a different outcome on the back from logic. So what we're trying to do is make it to where the person knows immediately whether they're correct or incorrect. And so we want them to say, show if, so I'm going to actually change this to just question 2 because that new one was just as a little placeholder, so I could have a different one. So I'm going to say, show this one if femme et feel right, this question 2, referring to this, is in, then you can say, une femme et une fille, like that. And then if it's not that, so show if, but one problem we have here is actually that we're going to run into the same problem that we had before, which is that it's going to show try again. I think it will show try again, even if, yeah, so we'll say try again, even if we haven't put anything in yet, which we don't want. So a workaround for this is to have us delete this one. And actually what we're going to do is have a page. So I created a page while I was paused where I said try again. And then I said, please try again. Be mindful of your case, like uppercase, lowercase, and spacing, just so that like when the person is writing it in here, that they write it exactly as it appears here with the right spacing and case, so that it will show the right pages that we want to trigger. And so I just say, please try again, be mindful of your case, uppercase, lowercase, and spacing. And I've made it to where this page is hidden if this question variable is une femme et une fille. So if they get the right answer, then they will proceed past this. And if they put in the wrong answer, then they will be shown this. So that's kind of how I've decided to try this, at least to see if this works the way that I want it to. And a lot of building is trial and error. It's all about failing forward and just trying something, testing it, trying something, testing it, and then getting to where you have it where you want it. So we have these different options in garçon, blah, blah, blah. And I say, put the relevant words from the list above in the proper order to say a woman and a girl. So let's try to do it correctly first to see if that works. Une femme est une fille. And I say, that's right, because they've filled it out correctly. Now, if they say something wrong, like une femme est un garçon, then they don't see that's right, but they say continue and they get try again. Please try again. Be mindful of your case, uppercase, lowercase, and spacing. And actually, what we'll do is make that a kick out page because right now they're allowed to continue, but I want them to have to go back. So let's copy this, delete this, and make it a kick out page with this instruction. I'm just going to make this capital really quick, make sure my logic is good, hide if this is correct, save that. And now when they get this page, they're not allowed to continue. They have to go back and try again. So let's try this. So now when they go back, they have to keep trying until they get this correct. So now let's make sure we have it go to the kickout page. Please try again. And then let's do it correctly. Une femme est une fille. And they can change their answers. So let's go back for a second because I think I put the wrong, I actually put it incorrectly in the answer. So this one should come up if it's in with an E, by the way. So that was my bad. And then also here, we need to make sure it has an E here as well. Une femme est une fille. Because when you have a female, you have an E at the end. So let's do it incorrectly. So I had it, let's refresh, sorry. Let me just say, une femme est une fille. So now when they write this, it will be correct. And if they had, let's say, une, they won't see you're correct and they'll say try again. So now we're kind of getting closer to where I would want us to be. And we can make it to where they can, so they get that's right. Continue. So now they have a chance to change their answers. Let's go ahead and keep that. If you didn't want them to be able to have that at the end, then you can say skip final review page. In our case, I'd like to keep it. You can also make it to where someone can have a link that they can use later. So what this does is it just adds a little option here at the bottom that they can save this link if they are only like halfway through or anything like that. Now, on the last page, the default messages are going to be, here are your documents. If you don't have anything else in your build, like in output documents, for example, like if you don't have these ticked, then what's going to show on the messages on the last page is, here are your documents. And we don't want that, right? We don't have any documents. So we can say, like, great work today. And then we can say, like, see you next time or something. I always like to have like a fun GIF or something. So let's go to Giphy and see, like, see you next time or something like that. And see if we like anything here. This one's kind of funny. This one's kind of cute. Whoa, gotta go. I kind of like that one. I think that one's funny. You can make it responsive or not. I'm going to go ahead and copy that one. I think great work today. And then you can just put that in there and let's just see what that looks like. Great work today. Whoa, gotta go. And you can take off this by Giphy at the bottom if you just pull all of this up to this past div part. And have it like this. And now it says, great work today. Whoa, gotta go. And then you could just say, see you next time if you want. I like to have some emojis. So let's do, I think a cartwheel is kind of cute. I always love a cartwheel. So now we have great work today. See you next time. Whoa, gotta go. So that's pretty fun. I think that that one's really cute. And if we now just like test this from the beginning and we have it, let's say go to we can start here, but I always like to start from like a clean slate, like an incognito window or an end user like browser that's not one that I've been working on, just to like make sure it works correctly without any like history. So let's try that. So right now we have welcome, unit 1 and unit 2. We have learn French with me. Which units would you like to work on today? We're going to say, let's just try to make sure it only goes to unit 2. Okay, so unit 2, question 1 shows up first. That's good. If it goes to unit 1, then it goes straight to unit 1. That's good. So we've tested our page logic there. And now let's do both. Also, let's just see what happens. Save and continue later. Enter your email below and we'll send you a link to continue this workflow. Now, that being said, one thing we've already noted here is about custom messaging. So if we have this save link to continue later, then it's going to send them an email. And we want to make sure that that has what we want in it. So if this is what this says, save link to continue later, you can change that here. On the top of it will say save and continue later, and the message says enter your email below and we'll send you a link to continue this workflow. Or you can say continue learning French with me if you want. And then the email title is going to say your workflow. Or you can say like learn, like resume learning French with me or something. And then to resume your session or whatever. And then anything else. Click here. To resume your session, click here. And that's fine. Maybe I'll say love Brittany or something. Okay, so let's test that part as well. So this is all part of the testing process to see how it goes. So in our case, let's say save link to continue later, save and continue later, enter email below. And so it says enter your email below and we'll send you a link to continue learning French with me. So then let's try demo@coremayum.pro and we say continue. We sent an email to your email address. So now let's go over there to the demo and to the Gmail and see. So we have from Documate, it says resume learning French with me. To resume your session, click here, love Brittany. To resume your session, click here, love Brittany. So now they're back to where they were before. So that looks pretty good. I think that looks fine. And so we've tested that part. Now let's go on to the actual part that we've done. So let's select both. How do you say woman? So we got rid of that try again that came on the bottom that we didn't want. And so I say, how do you say woman? If they say in, try again. It goes on, try again. Femme, that's right.
How do you go about pronouncing this word? Femme.
Okay, that's pretty good. And then the next part we want is going to be this unit 1, question 2. So it looks like we have some issue with the reverb. So let's just double check what's going on there. And can see if there's anything we need to fix in our build. So this is this reverb chat one here, and I think it's partially because I might have deleted it. So we might have to have me just make a new one. So that's fine. I'll do that now. So for whatever reason, it wasn't working in the incognito window, but when I use a different browser that hasn't visited this before, I can still see it.
Q.
So let's go ahead and go with that. And it's going to say, if I say te, it's going to say try again, t, try again, ta, try again, tu, that's right. And then in unit 2, question 1, I say go to reverb record and record yourself saying the phrase "Minshayo Xian." Then insert your recording link here. Here's where you can find the link to your recording. They can click here, they can record and get their link, and then they can grab their link and put it in here. So let's do that so that we can have one. Minshayo Xian. And then they can say shot save, no, link, good. Boom. Continue. Then the person says, put the relevant words from the list above in the proper order to say a woman and a girl. Un garçon, blah, blah, blah. Then we have une femme. It's une fille. That's right. And if they put something wrong, like they've put the wrong, this is incorrect, then they get try again. Please try again. Be mindful of your case and spacing. And then, so let's have them do correct. That's right. Continue. Now they get the review page. Continue. Great work today. See you next time. Whoa, gotta go. And that's it. So that is my my attempt at reverse engineering Duolingo. Kudos to Duolingo for having such a fabulous, fabulous tool for learning languages, and I'm very much enjoying it. And loving learning how to speak French. Obviously, I'm not very good yet, and there's so much more to Duolingo than just what we've been able to cover. But I hope that was useful in just learning learning the process of reverse engineering and learning the process of failing forward and being aware that it's okay to try new things and to not always get it right the first time. And the process of a build is one of a lot of trial and error. So I hope that was helpful, and I'll see you in the next video.